It is Disc Jam time here on the PlayStation LiveCast. I'm joined by Tim Rapp and Jay Mattis of High Horse Entertainment. Thank you guys for being with us today.
Thank you for having us on.
Thank you.
Okay, so for someone who's never seen your guys' game, give me the elevator pitch. How would you describe it in a short little blurb?
It's tennis meets air hockey and sort of a futuristic arcade action sport.
That's awesome. That's like the best little condensed version
Yeah,
I've ever heard.
people, we've been pitching that way to people, and they've been, you always get like, oh, really? So
Yeah.
It's, it's rare that we get a lot of people, you got a little B-roll up here. A lot of people will say, oh man, there's like nothing really out there like this. We're like, you'd never kind of hear that in games anymore. It feels like every gap's kind of been filled. So we're excited to have people kind of chatting about stuff. They haven't seen stuff like this out there. So.
Well, I had an air hockey table when I was a kid. I had one of those old wooden ones, where you like slap that plastic puck around.
Yeah.
It was great. And that is the first thing I thought of when I saw this. I love that it also, the graphics, it kind of has like an old retro quality to it, but it looks really shiny and new at the same time.
Yeah, you nailed it. That's kind of what we were going for, because a big part of our sort of design philosophy is a sort of arcade, online, multiplayer feel. And, the classic coin-op sort of like vibe of it, pick up and play, it's very, very accessible, but the skill curve is pretty deep, So it's we kind of built that into the vibe of the art, like what you're kind of seeing in terms of just like the sort of silly arcade kind of no real setting or story kind of nature of it.
So you can do 1-on-1, you can also do 2-on-2, right? So you can have up to 4 players in your game?
Yeah, so you can do any combination of local or online. So, something that's great about this game is that if you play 2v2, because of the way the camera is, you don't need to split the screen. You can just have you and me on a couch playing, and then you can compete against other teams
jump
online.
Jump in some ranked matches. Other teams, you can have 3 people locally, make a 4th person in with split screen. You can do all that kind of stuff. And any combination of 1 to 4, online or off, is supported.
Can you do 2 against 1 and like gang up on somebody?
Actually, it's not a bad idea. We haven't thought about that. That's not a bad idea. I kind of feel like I could take any 2 people on. So
Nice, all right.
I could get humbled a little bit out there.
The court does stay the same size, so it's definitely possible.
Right.
And is it the same court all the time?
Yes. We toyed in development, early in development, we toyed with the idea of widening it out like tennis for doubles. But, we really honed in on how fast the players move, who feels stronger or weaker, slower, faster, and we're really happy with how it plays 1v1 or 2v2. There's a lot of interplay. There's a lot of uniqueness to both experiences, we feel.
And you can customize a lot of this game, including your characters and your discs. Talk about some of those options.
Right, so
the first thing is that there are different characters, and each character plays uniquely, has a very different play style. So, for example, with these 2 characters, the guy here is slower, but he throws more, his throws are faster, but more direct. Whereas she's a faster player and can get to the disc, but her throws are a little bit more technical. So you can do all sorts of curves that you can't do if you're playing with him.
Move the disc around the court in more creative ways, but it's going to get there a little bit slower, and you kind of have. These are only our first 2 characters we're announcing. We're going to have multiple characters, each with a unique sort of play style and their own little vibe to it. So
a lot more coming.
Yeah, exactly right. And then, as we'll see in some of the doubles footage, the skins themselves are all wildly customizable, bits and bobs, different skins, different outfits, different flavors to all the different characters. Because people, we're an online-centric company, online-centric game, and we find that people love just styling their sort of iconic kind of rollout.
Yeah, we all want to play dress up. You can say
yeah,
it's
exactly
okay.
right. So these are all kind of, just these little marionette kind of characters, very sort of one-note reads, comic booky, exaggerated.
They almost remind me a little bit of like American Gladiator style.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes,
that's the vibe,
Exactly the vibe.
We're like when we set out to set the vibe, we're like, let's get this like American Gladiators, deep in the future, silly arcade kind of thing. So glad that's coming across.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so now we're getting a chance to look at some of the doubles action here.
Right, so as you see, the court's the same size, and the strategy you're seeing is that the way people gravitate to the net or splitting the field. Both these 2 teams were playing it very, very differently, so it was fun to kind of see how they ended up mixing up how they went about it.
Okay, that guy actually looks like a Roman gladiator.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So there's all sorts of styles. I mean, I think one of the things that's interesting if you look at the 1v1 versus 2v2 is that the actual strategy and how you play it changes a lot. So with 1v1, you end up trying to see how am I going to make my way to the net, whereas in 2v2 maybe you split sideways or you're splitting front back, and it really changes the way that you're trying to work the other people.
Now, are the rules of the game similar to tennis? I see that sometimes they're hitting the sides of the court, sometimes they're not.
Yeah, it's a completely made-up action sport, so it's kind of at the end of the day, it's if it hits the ground, it's a 2-point penalty.
Okay.
You can see there's 3- and 5-point end zones, so the object is sort of let's reinforce them guarding the middle of the court, because just like in tennis, you want to return to your center spot. If you're in the center spot at Disc Jam, you can get to any disc that's put on the court. But a lot of the strategy comes, like in tennis, I'm going to play one stroke ahead. I'm going to move him to the right and then go left. I'm going to set up that deep shot and then drop shot left. So a lot of that interplay is, it's not so much I'm going to hit a perfect shot down the baseline. It's like if I'm doing my job right, I've already set up where I'm going to go with it. Kind of.
Yeah, one step ahead, like thinking about like chess-wise.
Exactly right.
And rules-wise, I think it's really a combo between sort of volleyball and air hockey, where it's like you're really playing air hockey, but you can't let it touch the court. And there's a lot of keeping it in the air. So.
Now we can't hear it now, but talk to us about some of the audio that's in the game.
Right, so all of our audio is kind of this sort of arcade, synthesized kind of music. Our artists are all independent artists that, just guys we discovered. Some of the guys were just first people who found us on Twitter were composers and like had amazing arcade music. We're like, this fits our vibe so well. Like, So yeah, we don't have audio right now, but it's just a very kind of like upbeat sort of kind of, silly kind of, the game's silly, the vibe is silly, and that's kind of what the audio vibe tone is.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, one of our sort of philosophies is that we sort of lost a whole group of gamers when we moved from a single analog stick to dual analog sticks. And I think, when you kind of go back to that arcade vibe of like pick up, play, our game's one stick, 4 buttons, like that's it.
Yep.
And so I think when you go back to that, the music sort of fits that same sort of vibe.
Absolutely. And what I love so much is that we don't have enough couch co-op games, I feel like, that are just
Thank
like,
you.
hey, let's sit on the couch with a buddy and like play some games. That's not like, I don't have to think that hard. I have strategy and skill involved, but I'm not like, wait, I have to go where and complete what mission and do what now?
20 buttons here. I got to get the manual out and then I'll get through like an hour tutorial to start any new game. Like that's kind of, we were playing these arcade games at my house. I remember the day we came up with this. It was just we were playing arcade games, having a blast. Like we were like playing PlayStation 1 Pong, and we were just like, it's like if this game was online, people would love it. This is so much fun. And they're like, wait a minute, we're network guys. Why don't we like kind of start? Working? So like, that's how this concept was born.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But it's very cool, and I'm excited to kind of play it because it sounds like just something you can pick up and play anytime.
Accessible.
Yeah, extremely
Very
accessible. Pick up, and you're like, hey, you wanna play some disc jam? Let's play some disc jam. It also has a very cool name too.
Thank you so much.
Very cool name. And it's not like frisbee disc. This is like a serious disc. And also, so every once in a while the disc lights up. It's either blue or red. I see white. There's like flames.
Yeah,
right. So that's actually a good mechanic to talk about. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the way the game works is the sooner there's a timer that you can sort of see at their feet when they're holding the disc. Basically, the sooner you release the disc, the faster that disc is going to go.
And the
so
more
when
powerful
you see
it's gonna
when
be.
you see
Got
the
it.
purple throw, that's perfect timing. Then blue, then white, then no trail. Another thing that you're seeing here is that whenever the disc is in the air, there's sort of a white landing point on the ground. And if you go and you stand on it, your character starts to charge up. And if you finish that charge up, all of your normal buttons that would do normal throws turn into a different
All
super
become
throw.
special abilities.
Yeah, and so that's when you see the disc on fire, those are those special super throws.
So yeah, if you're kind of doing your job right, you'll deflect it to your teammate. They're already ready for that little charge up there, and then they're able to sort of punish with an aggressive power throw, which could be a power lob, a power sideline throw. And despite the fact our game only has 4 buttons, so much strategy comes into that interplay.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of our philosophy, is that you don't need to be an extremely high learning curve to be a deep game. You can find a lot of depth in sort of like accessible mechanics.
I could totally see this in like a tournament setting because there's gonna be people that are gonna like get home and be like, all right, we're a good team, right? We gotta find 2 other people to play against, and then get like a tournament going of like disc jam players.
Yeah, so we're
again.
network guys. We spent our whole career shipping. We've shipped 15 online titles since going to PlayStation 2. And this is our first game as Hi-Res Entertainment. We're really excited about just focusing on the online tournament style, esports style play because, that's for us. That's what we want to play. That's what we know. That's our wheelhouse. That's what we love. And so, it's
Absolutely. I mean, so we're gonna have ranked leagues in the game, and I think that's probably
Ranked ladder, ranked
what Tim and I
casual.
are gonna be playing. We're gonna jump on, play 2v2,
Get
go and
smoked.
try and take on other teams. And just watch everyone else be better at the game than us.
Just use code names and nobody knows.
Yeah.
Oh, we already do that.
We don't want everyone.
We
to
have
know
our
that we are.
HH Tim and HHJ that we share with anybody who wants, and then we publicly accept all those friend requests. But we have our offline cats that we go get our butts beat with.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm gonna go practice that new move for a while.
Right.
I'm gonna
Well,
be
that's the most fun thing is
today.
watching people play in our pre-alpha, and we stream it, and people are inventing new strategies during our stream, and then other people in the stream are picking up that, and then now they're trying that new way, and then they're turning it on us, and then it's just so much fun. Like,
It's great.
brand new people trying out this new stuff that Jay and I, who play this game every day, never even saw that style of play before. That
Right,
was
they're
just
coming at it with
so
fresh eyes.
rewarding and so fun. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's cool. Well, thank you guys so much for stopping by.
Thank you for hosting
This really
us. Yeah,
game
it's
looks
been great.
awesome.
Yeah,
I
we're
love
just-
this arcade
we
style.
just announced, Sony just announced yesterday we're coming to PlayStation. We're extremely excited about that. like I said, we're console developers, you know, dating 10 years now. We're just really, really happy to be on this platform.
We are happy to have you here.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
PlayStation